I would call to order the Village of Westmont Planning and Zoning Commission meeting for Wednesday, July 8th. May we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Fleet?
Here.
Commissioner Fidesco?
Here.
Commissioner Anton? Commissioner Pill? Commissioner Thomas?
Here.
Commissioner Van Buren is here, and Chairman Richard.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Would you please all rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. While I have you standing, please, if you would, anybody who's going to give testimony tonight, either for or against any item, you have to be sworn in. So I swear that any testimony I give this evening shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God.
I do.
Okay, consider you all sworn in. I would ask that you please silence any and all telephones, cell phones, pagers. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of our June 10th meeting. May we have a motion on that, please?
So move. Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Fleet, seconded by Commissioner Fidesco. Question on the motion? May we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Fidesco?
Yes.
Commissioner Van Buren votes yes. Commissioner Thomas?
Yes.
Commissioner Fleet?
Yes.
And Chairman Richard.
Yes. Okay, the minutes as printed are hereby adopted. New business, planning and zoning item 09013, David E. Zychek of Hinshaw and Culbertson LLP with Manor Care Health Services regarding the property located at 512 East Ogden for the following. A, revised site and landscaping plan approval to permit the construction of an addition in the B2 General Business District. Good evening, sir.
Thank you. Good evening. I'll be brief because I have been here before you with respect to the text amendment. We have now had the text amendment language approved by the City Council. So we are now entitled to expand our nursing home by 1,200 square feet, subject, of course, to your site plan approval and landscaping plan approval. And we actually cut it pretty close. We came in with 1,163 square feet. And someone had a question last time as to what percentage, what size in a percentage reading would this relate to, and it's about a 4.45% increase to the existing footprint, very nominal. And again, we've submitted our site plan, our landscaping plan, the elevations. And if there are any questions, I'll be happy to ask. And if there are some technical questions, our planner and our engineer and landscape architect, Manhard Consulting, is here through one of their principals, Greg Horsch.
Okay. Is there anybody from the public who will speak on this issue? If not, hearing nothing, we'll close the public comment. Let's start with Commissioner Fleet.
Let's see. Last time you were here, you presented us with an overall idea of an extension, and what we're seeing here on this drawing is in blue.
Yes.
And that's the extension that you're proposing.
That's right. And the tan that you see is the existing area into which it's all going to be developed.
Okay, and this is all under one roof?
Yes. Well, there'll be a roof on the expanded part, which ties into the existing building. Yeah.
No further questions.
Commissioner Fidesco.
I like the landscaping plan. I think it's a good concept as far as the trees. And looks like there's a substantial number of shrubs and other little plantings, so I think that should be sufficient. I don't have any questions. I mean, I think it was discussed last time as far as the overall concept and the size and everything, and I definitely think it'll help you guys out, and doesn't really affect the overall appearance at all. It'll kind of blend right in there. No questions. No other.
Commissioner Van Buren?
I think you've done a good job of documenting your request, and I really have no problem with it.
Commissioner Thomas?
I was for it previous time you were here, and now with the examples and the blueprints, I hope it adds to the facility and helps the business. I have no question.
I would echo the sentiments of my fellow commissioners. The only question I had was, under the demolition, you're removing some trees, fairly substantial. Would it pay to
That's right. In order,
bag and burlap them, so to speak, and then reintroduce them, or are you going to go with all new ones? Just a curiosity on my part.
excuse me, I didn't understand that question.
I thought some of the existing trees I've seen in here that you're removing.
Yes.
Would it pay you to save them, or are you going to go with all new ones on the landscaping?
Well, I think we're going to go with the new landscaping
Okay.
that we have. Yeah.
Just out of curiosity on my part. And again, I must compliment you on your forthrightness on your plan. I thought it was very well presented.
Thank you very much. As John said, maybe I should have an office here. Thank you.
One more.
No further questions? Okay, I would entertain a motion to recommend approval to the Board of Trustees under Planning and Zoning Item 09013, Item A, a revised site and landscaping plan.
So moved.
Second.
That's a motion by Commissioner Van Buren, seconded by Commissioner Thomas. Question on the motion? May we have roll call, please?
Commissioner Van Buren votes yes. Commissioner Thomas?
Yes.
Commissioner Fleet?
Yes.
Commissioner Fidesco?
Yes.
And Chairman Richard?
Yes. All right, sir, you have our recommendation for approval, and again, thank you for a very well-done plan.
Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Planning and Zoning Item 09014, Ruth Askren of Lamborghini Chicago with Mark Iozzo and Mark Hoppy of Honk Honk LLC regarding the property located at 209 East Ogden for the following. Item A, zoning code variance request to increase the number of allowable signs from 1 to 4. B, zoning code variance request to increase the maximum gross square footage of signage from approximately 157.36 square feet to approximately 202.43 square feet. Good evening.
Hi, how are you?
As you're probably well aware, to seek a variance, we have to hear a specific hardship. So if you could address the hardship, and that will help us all along very well.
Absolutely. As I addressed in the cover letter, we merged two franchise dealerships. We previously had a Lotus dealership in West Chicago. We merged that in with a Lamborghini dealership here in Westmont. And to properly represent the brand, market the brand, and in keeping with the automobile dealership nature of that stretch of Ogden, we'd like to put one Lotus sign on the building, which will actually face west. It's not even facing the street there, the Ogden level. And it's just LED illuminated, just basically to properly market the dealership and the brand and bring in clientele.
Okay, when I was up there today, took a fast look, and either Shannon or Fred, could you help me? But up on the crown of the building, they have two shields. Do those also qualify as signs?
Yes, the ones
Counting to the
that-
number 4?
The existing signs, there are 3 that are counted as non-exempt
Okay.
signs. The Lamborghini language, and then the 2 shields that you're referring to are the 3 existing.
Okay, and that was the only question I had. Okay, is there anybody from the public who will speak on this issue? Hearing nothing, we'll close the public comment, and we'll start with Commissioner Thomas.
When I was out Saturday, I looked at it, where you're proposing to put the Lotus sign, and there's nothing on that side of the building. I mean, it's not going to be cluttered. It's going to look professional. I don't have a problem with this at all. Not at all. I have no questions.
Commissioner Van Buren?
I don't either. I glad to see that someone's going forward with some improvements in spite of what's happening in the economy, and good luck.
Commissioner Fidesco?
I really don't have any questions. The comment that I have is as far as the existing signage. I mean, the emblems that the chairman spoke of, I mean, those are so small compared to the mass of the structure that I'm thinking of adding this sign is not going to, I mean, it's very small overage. It's not really going to impact the overall look of the building, and as you stated, it's on the side of the building, or at least the entrance of the building from that side. But I think it's going to be fine. You know, I don't see there should be any objections, and I definitely don't object.
Commissioner Fleet?
Would you explain about the lighting on, this is a Lotus sign that'll be illuminated?
Exactly.
Explain about it, please.
The specifications say that it's 4 amps. It specifies in some of these, in the Chicago sign sheet, that it is a low voltage wiring. That's all the information they've given to me. But I think it's going to be very, very lightly illuminated. You can see within the box here at the top of this paper some of the electrical specs. It's basically, I think, just the lights will come, of the lettering and the sign will come forward, and possibly a bit of the white background. But my understanding of it is it's not bright at all, based on the 4 ampage rating.
And what sort of time period would this light be lit? Any idea?
Generally, they close at 7 o'clock every day except Saturday. So it would go off, I believe, in the evenings with the others. That I can't answer specifically, though.
Probably not. Probably not. You want your advertisement to continue even when you're
They
closed.
might. I actually am not at that dealership specifically, so forgive me if I'm incorrect.
Because
but-
probably if there's yard lights showing what's out in front,
Right.
we all get to see.
And
the
they
activity.
would stay on. I think you're right.
Those lights come down, but with this light lit, with it just being LED lighting, doesn't sound like there's a lot of reflection coming off this. It's just the sign itself would be brighter than you could see it at night.
Commissioner, we do have a kind of an environmental standard or in our village code that says that light from one commercial establishment cannot spill over onto the property of another property owner, especially in residential areas. We're quite mindful of that. And so if this got to be too overpowering, we might say to them, could you cut this down at 9 o'clock or 9:30 at night and just have it on a timer? Might be a good solution to that.
Okay. No further questions.
Absolutely. And also, I think the only residence is to the south of the property, behind fencing, and our lot, goes back a bit to the south, and we have a lot back behind the building as well. So I wouldn't foresee that being a problem. So.
Once again, I would echo my fellow commissioner's sentiments that I think it's an ideal location for the sign. I couldn't see it even impairing the residential area to the south. And at first I was having a problem with the number of signs, but those 2 little shields up there, I hardly think they make a difference. So, no, I think it's very well thought of. Any further questions? Okay, since we have a request for a variance, we need a reading of findings of fact, if we would.
Criteria number 1, the property in question cannot yield a reasonable return if permitted to be used only under the conditions allowed by the regulations in the district in which it is located. The applicant is adding a Lotus automobile franchise dealership to this property, which currently is the home of a Lamborghini automobile dealership. This new Lotus franchise at this location requires signage to alert the public to this new franchise and brand. Without this additional signage, the public will not be aware of this new dealership, and the property with this new Lotus dealership cannot yield a reasonable return.
If you agree with these findings, please raise your hand. We are unanimous in agreement.
Criteria number 2, the plight of the owner is due to unique circumstances. The Lotus franchise regulations require identification signs on the property where the franchise is located. Since this property will now house 2 distinct automobile franchises, this additional sign request is necessary.
If you agree with this, please raise your hand. We are unanimous in agreement.
Criteria number 3, the variation, if granted, will not alter the essential character of the locality. The property is zoned B-2 and is located along the heavily commercial Ogden Avenue business corridor. Many existing shopping centers and auto dealerships in the immediate area have multiple signs advertising various businesses and services on site. The additional signage in this case will be consistent with the surrounding area and will not alter the essential character of the locality.
If you agree with this, please raise your hand. We are unanimous in agreement. The findings of fact for a zoning code variance request are hereby adopted. I would entertain a motion to recommend approval to the Board of Trustees under Planning and Zoning Item 09014, Item A, a zoning code variance request to increase the number of allowable signs from 1 to 4.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Thomas, seconded by Commissioner Fleet. Question on the motion? May we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Fleet,
Yes.
Commissioner Fidesco.
Yes.
Commissioner Van Buren votes yes. Commissioner Thomas
Yes.
and Chairman Richard.
Yes. All right, since we have a zoning code variance request again on item B, may we have a reading of the findings of fact?
Criteria number 1, the property in question cannot yield a reasonable return if permitted to be used only under the conditions allowed by the regulations in the district in which it is located. The applicant is adding a Lotus Automobile franchise dealership to this property, which is currently the home of a Lamborghini automobile dealership. This new Lotus franchise at this location requires signage to alert the public to this new franchise and brand. Without this additional signage and resulting increase in the gross square footage of signage on the property, the public will not be aware of this new dealership, and the property with this new Lotus dealership cannot yield a reasonable return.
If you agree with this, please raise your hand. We are unanimous in agreement.
Criteria number 2, the plight of the owner is due to unique circumstances. The Lotus franchise regulations require identification signs on the property where the franchise is located. Since this property will now house 2 distinct automobile franchises, the additional square footage for an additional sign is necessary.
If you agree with this, please raise your hand. We are unanimous in agreement.
Criteria number 3, the variation, if granted, will not alter the essential character of the locality. The property is zoned B-2 and is located along the heavily commercial Ogden Avenue business corridor. Many existing shopping centers and automobile dealerships in the immediate area have multiple signs advertising various businesses and services on site, several of which are non-conforming as to gross square footage. The overage of gross square footage for an additional sign of approximately 50.95 square feet in this case will be consistent with the surrounding area and will not alter the essential character of the locality.
If you agree with this, please raise your hand. We are unanimous in agreement. The findings of fact for a variance request are hereby adopted. I would entertain a motion to recommend approval to the Board of Trustees, item B, a zoning code variance request to increase the maximum gross square footage of signage from approximately 157.36 square feet to approximately 202.43 square feet.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Van Buren, seconded by Commissioner Fidesco. Question on the motion. May we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Fidesco.
Yes.
Commissioner Van Buren votes yes. Commissioner Thomas.
Yes.
Commissioner Fleet.
Yes.
And Chairman Richard.
Yes. Okay, you have our recommendation for approval, and staff can tell you when you'll go before the Board of Trustees at a Thursday evening meeting.
Thank you very much.
All we can say is go forth and sell.
We're trying. We're trying our best. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Planning and zoning item 09015, Thomas J. McCabe of Seaton Engineering with Westmont Imports regarding the property located at 276 East Ogden for the following. A, land code development variance request to reduce the required easement from 5 foot to approximately 4.6 feet for the purpose of constructing an addition in the B2 General Business District. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. We were here last month. This is the addition on the Audi dealership. The existing building is only 4.5 feet plus or minus. We got the variation for the setback, but we didn't because we've consolidated 2 lots. Is it the planning and zoning? I'm sorry, the
Easement is necessary.
yeah, we've got because we've consolidated 2 lots, we have to have at least a 5-foot easement around the outside, and so we're asking for that. Pardon me, where our building is only be 4.5 feet to make the easement 4.5 feet on that side. That's what we're here tonight for.
Is this where you were to make the south face of the wall contiguous with the other?
Correct.
Okay. Public comment? Hearing nothing, we'll close public comment. Commissioner Thomas?
I have no questions. This was pretty much decided last.
Commissioner Van Buren?
No questions. We went over this last time.
Commissioner Fidesco?
Yeah, I'm surprised we didn't think about it at that time, you know, that the easement was going to be larger than the actual physical space. I don't have any comments.
Commissioner Fleet?
No question.
And the chairman has no questions. Since we have a request for a variance, may we have reading of findings of fact, please?
Criteria number 1, the property in question cannot yield a reasonable return if permitted to be used only under the conditions allowed by the regulations in the district in which it is located. Given the lot size limitations for this automobile dealership and the need to maximize space for parking a vehicle inventory, this location with this minor easement encroachment is the only location that makes economic sense for the applicant. Additionally, this location for this addition maximizes the aesthetics and operational capabilities for the applicant, as the addition will match the location of the existing service building. Without this expanded service area at this location, the applicant will be at a competitive disadvantage and cannot yield a reasonable return.
If you agree with this, please raise your hand. Unanimous in agreement?
Criteria number 2, the plight of the owner is due to unique circumstances. The proposed addition is to be located approximately 4 inches within the easement in order to align the addition with the existing service building and in order to not jeopardize parking for vehicle inventory.
If you agree with this, please raise your hand. We are unanimous in agreement.
Criteria number 3, the variation, if granted, will not alter the essential character of the locality. The proposed addition with this approximate 4-inch encroachment into the utility and stormwater easement will not adversely affect the purpose or functioning of the easement. The proposed addition will align with the existing service building and will not alter the essential character of the area.
If you agree with this, please raise your hand. We are unanimous in agreement. The findings of fact for a variance request are hereby adopted. I would entertain a motion to recommend approval to the Board of Trustees under Planning and Zoning Item 09015, Item A, Land Development Code Variance Request to reduce the required easement from 5 foot to approximately 4.6 feet for the purpose of constructing an addition in the B2 General Business District.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Fidesco, seconded by Commissioner Fleet. Question on the motion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Van Buren votes yes. Commissioner Thomas?
Yes?
Commissioner Fleet?
Yes.
Commissioner Fidesco?
Yes.
And Chairman Richard?
Yes. All right, sir, you have our recommendation, and again, staff can tell you when you'll go before Thursday evening committee of the whole.
Okay, thank you.
Good luck to you, sir. Any, does staff have any?
I don't believe so at this time, Mr. Chairman. We'd be happy to respond to any questions commissioners might have.
Any individual items, commissioners?
Just a question on what transpired here when we went from 2 plots to 1 plot, and essentially, do we hold things up for a month for their work?
What happened was.
And do we need a flag that pops up that reminds us that when that happens, that we need to do it for the whole plot?
We've actually worked pretty closely with the applicants throughout the whole process. They received the notation that an easement would be necessary. The consolidation triggered that, which wasn't considered at the time that they first came in and applied for their site and landscaping plan approval. So as far as their timing, they're pretty much still on track, but it was something that was caught during the engineering plan review.
So is that something to earmark, a flag that pops up next time that
Yeah.
that happens? Okay.
Sometimes the engineering comments come in later after the building and zoning review is done, so it may throw the timing off despite the best efforts of staff, I would think.
We've been discovering a lot lately. We've had another situation in a residential area where we're discovering that outlots exist, or maybe some house was built years ago and it's been subdivided, or they build it over the lot line and nobody picked up on that until modern times when we do look at the plat of easement or do some sort of a title search. And we ran across a situation like that we're dealing with now in a single-family residential area where there's a kind of a what would you call it, Shannon, an outlot number 2 that was common area for the entire subdivision. We see no purpose for the outlot, yet it still continues to exist, and the house is built over the lot line on this outlot and the lot on which the house sits. Yet the legal description for the original property owner shows the entire lot, and then we've got this outlot described. It's problematic, and these are the kinds of things that I guess we need attorneys and surveyors and engineers to help us wade through and correct those kinds of legal issues as they're discovered.
Another difficulty in the case of the Audi dealership was because this was 2 lots, there was also a determination that was necessary on what's going to be the front yard, what's going to be the side yard. So, and even determining what those easements were, there was a considerable amount of staff discussion.
Yeah, because that is a corner lot.
Right, with double frontage, so.
Probably won't be too long, they'll take the whole corner.
We hope
Other
so.
than that empty building, I hope so
We wish them
myself.
that success.
Fill it up with cars and sell them. Any further comments?
I just have
Counsel?
one
No?
about Greg. We're kind of hoping our fellow Commissioner Greg Pell would be here with us tonight. He was hoping he could too. Greg has completed a very intense series of treatments in connection with his throat cancer. And Greg has gone back to work 4 hours at a time, and he had hoped to be here tonight. I'm sorry he couldn't be here, but we wish him the best and hope and pray for his recovery.
I would echo that sentiment, exactly. Motion to adjourn?
So move?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Fleet, seconded by Commissioner Van Buren. All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.